Hey Phoenix Army, what's up? Vice Phoenix here, and today we're going to talk about Blackpool FC and how I think they're going to do this year. As you can see, I'm looking at their results, and yeah, it was kind of a shaky start. They are a recently promoted team in the championship. That's what to be expected. But since then, I kind of realized they've been rifting off more and more wins as of late. I mean, yes, they beat Middlesbrough 2-1. They beat Burnley 1-0, drew 1-1 against Hull City, beat Blackburn 2-1. Like their only loss came on the road against Nottingham Forest. They beat Reading 2-1 and they beat Preston 2-0. And I just saw the highlights of their game against Preston, and they looked pretty good that game. And let's look at some of the results from some of these games. I mean, let's look at like match report. I mean, I have not used this. I have not used this feature before. So their manager is Neil. Actually, I mean, so from looking at the results of this game, they did look good. I mean, that game, of course, they got 2 goals from like Marvin Sales Pita. I mean, Grant Hall. Oh, Grant Hall got an own goal for the team. So those guys. Yeah, that's really what I think that was really their turnaround game. That was their turnaround game right there. But their last game against Preston, let's see that game. Okay, I mean gotta wait for a while for that to boot up. Oh yeah, Kinchy Anderson. I don't know, the guy might be Japanese, like I haven't really been paying attention. So yeah. Meldon scored. I mean, they look like a good team this year. They look like a good team. That was their last game. So it's clear that since the beginning of the season, they have won 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of their last 9 games. So they're on a pretty good stretch right now, believe it or not. And they're also in a essentially a 7-way tie for 5th, and they're 3 points outside the 4th position, Coventry. So they are essentially in a really good spot right now, and looking at their upcoming matches, I mean, they have an opportunity to move up the ladder and possibly get into a promotion round, and hell, maybe even make the Premier League within the next year or two if they keep going at their turn trajectory. They face Sheffield United, which they're a mid-table team, and Stoke City, which is another team essentially tied with them. So a win there will go a long way. QPR is up next after them, and they're also one of those teams that are tied. And then, of course, they have Swansea, they're 16th in the championship. So they actually have some pretty huge games coming up. If they're able to get wins against both those teams, plus Blackpool's at home, those will be some valuable points, especially considering their position. And also, they do have some really good goal scorers right now. I mean, Jerry Yates, 5 goals. Steve Lezery, 5 goals. And they're both young guys. I mean, Yates is turning 25 soon, and Lezery's turning 23 soon. So they're key guys going forward for the team. And now they're not the only guys producing. I mean, they got Josh Bowler. He's a long-term guy. Kinchy Anderson, who just scored his first goal of the year. I mean, yeah, he's 26, so he'll probably stay on for a while. I mean, great long-term guy. And however, these guys are defensemen, so defensemen really don't score that much. But the fact that they are producing really says something. And let's look at like their goals scored and goals against. Yeah, they still have a negative goal differential. They're the only team with the record that has a negative goal differential. But that, like I said, then part of it is due to them being a new team in the championship. They haven't been there in 8 years, so, and they probably had a completely different core then. But now when you look at their results, the fact that they are winning games, even on the road, it really says something about how good this team is. Like they're finally finding their groove. Well, granted, they're out of the EFL Cup because they lost to third tier Sunderland. I mean, Sunderland is actually kind of having a bit of an emergence this year in League One. And of course, and they haven't really lost. And their last 2 losses came against Huddersfield, which let's see where Huddersfield is. Okay. Huddersfield is 8th, and they are a recently relegated team from the Premier League, so they're working their way back up. And their other losses against Nottingham Forest, which they are not too far behind in 15th. So it's not like they lost to like Derby County or Barnsley or any of those teams. And yes, they, like I said, they did lose to Sunderland in the EFL Cup, but I think when I think about it, like EFL Cup, like you win that, you basically just get a spot in the Conference League. I mean, yeah, it would be nice for a team like Blackpool to get an opportunity to play in a major cup, but at the same time, like the end game for them is to get in the Premier League by the looks of it. Like especially the fact that 2016-17, they were a League 2 team. And then to go from that to being essentially a mid-table team in the second-tier championship league, that's a hell of a progression for this team. And I think within the next year, I mean, if not this year, but next year, they could be in the Premier League. And I'm not sure if they're able to compete with the Leicesters, the Man U's, the Liverpools, the Chelseas right away. But if they could at least be a mid-table team in the Premier League, that's really saying something, especially considering where they were just a few years ago. I mean, I hope this team succeeds, and find success in the top division, a place where they haven't been since 2010, 2011. That's a decade ago. And the fact that they haven't even been in the Championship League in 8 years, and the fact that they progressed from League 2 to here over the past 5 years, that's saying a lot for how far this team has gone. And now they have an opportunity to not only win a couple games, but to possibly be in position to even be in the promotional round and have a chance to even make the Premier League next year if everything falls into place for Blackpool. I mean, like I really do hope this team makes it in the Premier League. I really do hope so. And especially the fact that they actually have a lot of young, talented players. And the fact that they have a lot of young, talented players, guys who are in their early to mid-20s, this team still has room for improvement yet. And that really is even scarier for the competition. The fact that they're not only a team rising through the ranks, but they still have a ton of youth on the roster as well. And then, especially considering the fact that some of their young, talented guys are still 22 or 23. And I hope this team succeeds. I really do hope so. And the fact that this team could be in the promotion playoffs by the end of the year. I mean, at least in position to do so at this point. I mean, that's just I really hope this team succeeds. Like, thank you. Have a nice day and go Blackpool.